than there are in the wild. This startling information was found on the Born Free USA website, published on January 13, 2013. Less than 50 miles away from here, in Little Falls, Minnesota, a pet lion and a pet tiger were owned. 50 miles is a distance that a lion or a tiger could travel with ease and end up in any one of our backyards. The United States Department of Agriculture should instill a partial ban regarding the ownership of exotic animals in every state without a partial ban already in place. First, we will look at the problem of owning exotic animals, and second, we will explore a possible solution to this problem. Currently, there's no federal ban regarding the ownership of exotic animals in the United States, and Americans are owning exotic animals. According to Tina Dow, an environmentalist for the Wildlife Research and Conservation website, published on October 20, 2012, along with Krinthi Karanth, an environmentalist for the National Geographic Society, online, published on October 10, 2012, stated that 23 out of the 50 states have no ban regarding the ownership of exotic animals, and 7 out of the 50 states have a partial ban. A partial ban forbids the ownership of various deemed dangerous animals, such as tigers, lions, bears, coyotes, primates, and various others. The aforementioned went on to say that the last 20 out of the 50 states have a full ban regarding the ownership of exotic animals, which is a lot like a partial ban, but is more specific in the forbidding of exotic animals. The aforementioned, along with Born Free USA, stated that in Pennsylvania, a woman owned a pet black bear, where it was legal for her to do so in Pennsylvania because there's no partial ban. The aforementioned also went on to say that in West Virginia, a pastor owned a pet rattlesnake, where it was also legal for him to do so as well. This is a widespread problem. Brian Howard, a researcher for the Daily Green Online, published on December 18, 2012, along with Krinthi Karanth from the National Geographic Society Online, stated that there have been 543 Americans who have been injured from exotic animals who have been contained since 2005, and also there have been 75 Americans who have died from exotic animals who have been contained. The aforementioned, along with Jody Kendall, an environmentalist for the National Geographic Society Online, published on October 3, 2012, stated that there have been 55 exotic animals who have been contained that have been injured since 2005, and there have also been 200 exotic animals who have died in the past 7 years after being contained. Americans and exotic animals are being widely affected in the United States. The owners of the exotic animals are being affected. According to Tina Dow, and also according to Krinthi Karanth, they both stated that the woman who owned a pet black bear in Pennsylvania was attacked one day from her black bear while cleaning his cage. She was rushed to the hospital and died later that day from the bear attack. The aforementioned, along with Jody Kendall from the National Geographic Society Online, published on October 3, 2012, stated that the pastor who owned a pet rattlesnake in West Virginia was attacked one day during a church service. He was also rushed to the hospital and died from that pet rattlesnake bite. The aforementioned, along with Henry Bird, an environmentalist for the ASPCA organization who supports exotic animals, published on November 14, 2013, stated that in Duxbury, Minnesota, about a 2.5-hour drive from where we are all sitting today, and about 100 miles in distance, a pet tiger escaped from his cage. He traveled into the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor called the cops. The cops came and deemed that it was too dangerous for them to retrieve that tiger, so they ended up killing the tiger. The tiger was innocent and did not know that what he was doing was wrong. Brian Howard from the Daily Green Online, along with Krinthi Karanth from the National Geographic Society, stated that neighbors are being affected from the ownership of exotic animals. Less than 50 miles away from here, in Little Falls, Minnesota, the pet lion and the pet tiger that were owned escaped their cages one day. They traveled into the neighbor's yard where a 10-year-old boy was playing. They attacked the 10-year-old boy, and the 10-year-old boy somehow was retrieved and brought in an ambulance to the hospital. He luckily lived, but sadly is today a quadriplegic on a respirator from those animal attacks. Now that we understand the problem of owning exotic animals, let's look at a possible solution to this problem. The United States Department of Agriculture should instill a partial ban against the ownership of exotic animals federally. They should instill this partial ban by January of 2014. The exotic animals who are owned presently will be safely retrieved and transferred into a transitional site between ownership and wilderness. Once deemed ready from the United States Department of Agriculture, they will be transported back into the wilderness. This plan is very practical. Passing a law will cost nothing but time and effort. 27 out of the 50 states already have a partial or full law, so it's only those 23 states that need new legislation. Minnesota is a great example to use for this partial ban. Where we're all sitting, we do have a partial ban, so we are safer because of it. So other states using Minnesota as an example should know that it is practical to have a partial ban. This plan is very desirable because it will save the lives of many Americans and exotic animals. Every single one of those stories about injury and about death were from a time when a partial ban was not passed in that state, or is from a state where a partial ban was never passed. So exotic animals are being owned in the United States. If we instill this partial ban, it will help solve the problem. The United States Department of Agriculture should instill a partial ban regarding the ownership of exotic animals federally. So more tigers are owned as pets than there are in the wild. This statistic from Born Free USA would be no more if we passed this partial ban in the United States.